Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive. I'm your host, Amy, generated by artificial intelligence. Today, we're diving into an event that's shaking the world, the return of Donald Trump to the White House as the 47th President of the United States. Just a quick reminder, this content is generated by artificial intelligence, so some information might be speculative, skewed, or outdated. This episode is solely for entertainment purposes. Opinions are shaped by AI, so please enjoy the analysis, but don't get too riled up if you don't agree with everything in this podcast. It's November 6, 2024, and the election results are in. Whether you're celebrating or contemplating what this means, there's no denying that this is a pivotal moment in history. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's explore what this means for America and the world. First, let's set the stage. Trump's road back to the Oval Office wasn't easy. After his 2020 loss, he faced legal challenges, social media bans, and a deeply divided nation. Yet, here we are. So, how did he do it? Trump built his campaign on a renewed America platform, promising to restore jobs, strengthen borders, and reassert American influence on the world stage. He capitalized on growing economic uncertainty and global instability, which resonated with voters. Voter turnout was unprecedented, especially in swing states where his rallies drew massive crowds. On top of that, the Republican Party secured control of the Senate, a shift that not only reflects changing voter sentiment but also sets the stage for significant legislative action. So, what will Trump do with this renewed mandate? Let's talk domestic policy. Trump's first term was marked by tax cuts, deregulation, and a focus on energy independence. Now, with a Republican-controlled Senate, he has a smoother path to push for even more ambitious changes. On economic policy, we can expect a push for further tax reforms aimed at stimulating business investment. Trump's team has hinted at incentives for companies that bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. This could be a game changer for industries impacted by globalization. However, critics argue it could increase the national debt and widen income inequality, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Healthcare is another area of focus. Trump has consistently criticized the Affordable Care Act but faced challenges replacing it. With Senate support, we might see efforts toward a healthcare plan that leans on free market principles, which could mean fewer regulations but also less federal support for low-income individuals. On immigration, Trump's position is well known. He's likely to push for stricter border control measures and pursue policies that focus on immigration reform. With legislative backing, these initiatives could gain traction, though they'll undoubtedly spark debates and face legal challenges. Turning to foreign policy, Trump's return signals potential shifts in international relations. Regarding Ukraine, Trump has previously suggested that European nations should take on a larger role in their defense. This could mean a reduced U.S. military presence or aid, potentially pressuring Ukraine toward negotiations with Russia. NATO allies might reevaluate America's role in international alliances, which could lead to some interesting developments in global security. In the Middle East, Trump's strong relationship with Israel suggests continued support. Given the recent tensions in Gaza, his policies might lean towards bolstering Israel's security, which could add complexity to U.S.-Iran relations, especially if the administration revisits sanctions or pulls out of recent diplomatic efforts with Iran. Then, there's China. Trump's first term saw a trade war that aimed to address trade imbalances and intellectual property concerns. In this term, we might see not only increased tariffs but also tighter restrictions on Chinese investments in U.S. technology. This approach aims to protect national security and technological superiority, though it could also strain global supply chains and create economic uncertainty. Let's not overlook the role of media in all this. Trump's relationship with mainstream media outlets has always been rocky, and during his campaign, he relied on alternative platforms and rallies to communicate directly with supporters. We could see a continued rise of alternative media as trust in traditional outlets declines among his base. This fragmentation of media may further polarize public discourse, making it challenging to find common ground on key issues. And with debates around free speech heating up, particularly on social media, Trump's vocal criticism of tech companies' control over content might even lead to efforts to regulate these platforms, reshaping the digital landscape. Now, let's talk about global economic implications. The world is closely watching these developments. Trade policies under Trump could disrupt international markets. We may see a re-evaluation of trade agreements, as Trump's focus on an America First approach could lead to renegotiations or even withdrawals from deals he views as unfavorable. This might create uncertainty for multinational businesses and investors as they navigate new rules. On energy, Trump's support for traditional energy sources like oil and coal could mark a shift from the renewable initiatives of the previous administration. This emphasis might boost certain domestic industries but could introduce a tension between economic growth and environmental goals. International partners focused on climate commitments may find themselves navigating a new dynamic with the U.S. domestically. Trump's presidency is likely to have profound effects on societal dynamics. Social justice movements that gained momentum in recent years may encounter shifting priorities in policy. We may see policies related to law enforcement, criminal justice reform, and civil rights take different directions, which could spark increased activism and, potentially, heightened tensions in some communities. In education, there might be a renewed focus on curriculum changes that emphasize certain American values, an initiative that could spark debates over academic freedom and the role of education in addressing historical and social issues. So, what can we anticipate in the next 4 years? Trump's presidency will undoubtedly prioritize national interests as he defines them, which could lead to significant shifts both domestically and internationally. Supporters believe this approach will strengthen the economy, create jobs, and enhance national security. Critics, however, worry it may alienate allies, escalate conflicts, and deepen domestic divides. One thing is certain, the coming years will be a critical period for the United States. The choices made will have lasting impacts on the nation's direction and its role on the global stage. And now, before we wrap up, a quick disclaimer to keep things in perspective. This podcast is intended for informational purposes and reflects speculative analysis based on current events as of November 6, 2024. The views expressed are subject to change as new information becomes available. Listeners are encouraged to consult multiple sources and engage in open dialogue to form their own opinions. Finally, let's wrap things up. If the United States is your home, staying informed is more important than ever. Engage in conversations, research multiple perspectives, and participate in the democratic process. Regardless of where you stand politically, understanding these developments helps us navigate the complexities of our time. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the return of Donald Trump to the presidency. It's a topic that will continue to unfold, and we'll be here to analyze and discuss every step of the way. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, leave a review, and share this episode with others who want to stay informed. Until next time, I'm Amy, and this has been Deep Dive. Stay curious and take care.